There has been a wave of skincare trends all over social media, some of them good, but some of them not so good. Today, we are at Forefront Dermatology in their Middletown location. We are with Dr. Kirkland. Thank you so much for having us out today. And so, you know, I've seen people making their own sunscreen. There are people out there doing all of these crazy things, but you see patients day in and day out. What are some of the things that patients are bringing you and telling you what they're doing?
Yeah. So, you know, I think social media, right, it's good and bad. It's great because in some ways we have all these awesome tips, but then we have some things that maybe are not so good.
Yeah.
So something that we've been seeing a lot of is people kind of making their own skincare, specifically making their own sunscreen. And, you know, I think it comes from a very well-intentioned place, right? Like people want to know where they're sourcing their products from. They want to know that they're natural. But unfortunately, it just doesn't always unfold that way. So, you know, what we see online when we look up sunscreen recipes, people use things like coconut oil. They'll use lots of essential oils. They can use zinc oxide, which is actually an ingredient that we often find in sunscreens, but sometimes you can get it from diaper rash paste and things like that. You know, and they put them in a blender and they blend it together and then they apply it to their skin like sunscreen. So problematic for a few reasons. You know, one, the sunscreens that we have, they're very rigorously tested, right? So when you buy something from the store, you know that the FDA has kind of vetted it, that what it says on there is the SPF is actually what you're getting. And the other thing is a lot of these ingredients, things like coconut oil, shea butter, while they feel great, sometimes they're not formulated to use directly on the skin and they can clog our pores, they can lead to acne. And, you know, the other thing is they're not always shelf stable. So they can grow things like bacteria and they can be very irritating when applied directly to the skin. So, you know, I always counsel patients that probably the best is going to be the store-bought sunscreen that has been tested and vetted and whatever feels good on your skin.
Yes, and you make it so easy. You actually sell a lot of those products right here. You know you're actually getting the good stuff if you're getting it from a dermatologist. Something else too, I'm very fair-skinned. I burn very, very easily, so I kind of opt for the self-tanners, but people are tan maxing, which is the complete opposite of what I do. So what is tan maxing?
Yeah, I was shocked by this too, you know, seeing people in the office, but tan maxing is basically when you look on your phone, you can scroll down to where it says the UV index, and the goal is to get, you know, outside when the UV index is at its highest to maximize your tan. And so typically that leads to a little bit, you know, quicker in terms of tanning, a little bit of an increased risk of sunburn, but maybe a deeper tan as well. And so, you know, you can imagine that that can also be problematic because we know that high UV index exposure is one of the leading causes of things like melanoma skin cancer, basal cells, squamous cells, different types of skin cancers that we treat in the clinic every day. And so that high UV exposure can be pretty dangerous.
It can. I mean, I said it in another segment. I was a lifeguard in high school. I'm sure a lot of our viewers remember, you know, being at the pool with our friends, and we love that. We love making those memories, but I would not reapply the sunscreen. I would get burned so easily. I remember I'd wear braids in my hair. I would get terrible sunscreen or sunburns on the part of my hair. Oh my gosh. We're not gonna do that. And I know summer is wrapping up and a lot of people are either back at school, back in the office, but that doesn't mean we need to stop reapplying our sunscreen. So even if you're inside, do you need to apply?
Yeah, that's a great question. I get asked that all the time. So I tell my patients it truly depends. I find that if you are anywhere near a window, if you're driving a lot, even though you're not technically outside, a lot of those UV rays still get through. So our windows block most UVB, but a lot of them don't really block a lot of UVA. Now, UVA is responsible for a lot of our aging. I think UVA aging, but it can also lead to certain types of skin cancer, increase your risk of those. So definitely if you're around windows, if you are getting UV, we should still be applying sunscreen. I tell my patients a good rule of thumb is, you know, get up in the morning, brush your teeth, put on your sunscreen, then you know you're protected for the day.
Yeah, such great tips. All right, thank you so much for having us out today.
Thanks for coming.
All right, if you're interested in learning more, getting that appointment scheduled at any of their area locations, just head over to forefrontdermatology.com.